Give me your realistic expectations for Brock Purdy this year. When do you think he comes back? How do you think he performs? Like, if you had to really look in your crystal ball, what do you think is a
Well,
realistic expectation?
realistically, because he's going to have every advantage afforded to him, right?
Mhm,
If you ever seen the 49ers training staff work hard,
mhm.
you about to see them work hard with Brock, right? So that the that that's going to be tested. I would say Brock is supposed to be at the earliest week 4. John is saying week 1. When he comes back, we got to see if he's even throwing, and then we got to
Mhm.
see how he's feeling and what he's looking like when he's throwing. And then they're gonna lie to us for a month and tell us that he's in the practice window.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. You know that
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
that whole song and dance.
The practice window. Yep.
Yeah. So practice window, then they'll lie. I'd say week 8, week 10.
Wow. Wow.
This season's
Wow.
not gonna be about Brock. And if I see Brock,
Wow.
if I see him very early, then that means either
That's
two
terrible.
things: he's
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, or we're just waiting for his arm to fall off on the
Or
live
they're 0
television.
and 3. Or they're like 0
Yeah.
and 3. Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah.
if Brock, this is the way I see it. If Brock comes back early, there's no way he's ready, and that means that Sam and Trey look really bad,
Right.
right?
Really bad.
If Brock doesn't come back early, then that means that they got to fight to see what's going to happen between Trey and Sam, and we got to get a third quarterback.
Yep.
Um, so I think that Trey, I'm still on the Trey train, man. I just think that it's football malfeasance to give up on a guy that you put that much into, no matter what your no
Yeah.
matter what your true intentions were. Who cares? You did it.
Or what
Um,
you think you saw from him in practice. You gave up too much. You haven't seen enough games. But we'll talk about trade next. With Brock, week 8, I think that's
week
interesting.
eight,
To,
week eight
to,
by
to
10 through there.
whenever he comes back, I'm curious to see what he looks like. Because so whenever he comes back and they're saying, all right, Brock is going to play now. Like, you had no off season. I mean, maybe he had some, like that practice window, like you said, but two issues I'm looking at. Confidence coming off this injury. Like, Jimmy was never the same after his ACL. What is your
Mhm.
confidence level? And also timing, rhythm and timing. No offseason. Like if he's lacking in those two areas, how good is he going to be mid-season?
Well,
That's what
I
I'm
mean,
want to
and
see.
just to add those, the common denominator with that is arm talent,
Yeah.
like confidence in your arm. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
uh,
Does he just become like a check down machine more than he was before? Like what? Because he had a ton of confidence on the field when he played. That was one of the best things about him. Like, is that still there?
right.
Because Jimmy had a ton of confidence when he first came here too, and then it was gone.
I don't see I don't see a path for him to be back anytime before week 8 of the season. And if he is, you rest assured. I mean, it's biology. Rest assured, you're going to see that on the field. And I don't know what our team looks like with Brock's arm weaker. And let's also talk about an element that we're not talking about with the league seeing him coming now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we spent
Mm-hmm.
8 weeks in the middle of the season with a quarterback who processed and got the
Mm-hmm.
ball out, with a team that was hot and ready and primed to play. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not week 1 of the season. That's not even
Mm-hmm.
week 1 of how the Niners typically start a season. We warm
Yeah.
up. We don't start fast. And with the league being able to have a good 8 weeks of game film on Brock, I do believe that he's going to regress to the mean. He's still going to be a second-year guy coming off the injury, right?
Yeah.
NFL's a
Yeah.
meritocracy.
Yeah.
So I don't, if he comes back early, it's going to look bad. I don't
Dude, if
care
they
how
open
good
up
our
that
team
practice
is.
window, and he doesn't look confident and his timing is off, his accuracy is off, his arm doesn't
Right.
look the same, there's no reason to play him, man. Because if you put him out there and he struggles, you're not going to look. I mean, your fans are going to be upset because they're going to say, okay, so we have no quarterback on this team now.
And
We have
then the
no
irony,
quarterback.
you know what's crazy about that, Grant? The irony of that would be, so you trounce the rookie, the 7th round rookie off injury, you trounce him out early,
Mm-hmm.
but you won't play Trey. But
Right.
you know all those times that Trey could have played, you won't play Trey. Like
Right.
I feel like they're forever.
Right.
Brock and Trey are forever linked because
Yeah.
no matter how hard you put, every time you push Brock to get on the field, it's what you're saying about Trey,
Right.
right? And they
Right.
can't get away from that, right?
Yeah.
Because Trey is the guy who you spent all this, the brain trust is what got Trey. You guys got Brock off of a flyer from Slowick,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying to me right now is that if Trey, and then also, how are they going to eat crow when Trey becomes what some of us think he really is, right?
Yeah.
How's that going to come down? Right?
Exactly. So that's why I feel like Kyle had to walk back what John said yesterday. It's like, dude, you can't do this yet because Trey's still on our team. We don't know how this is going to play out. We don't know what the future is for either one of these two players.
Yeah. And it also probably shows how Kyle talks about Trey to John when he gives him like sit reps on situational reports on how's things going over time. The fact that John it's not the fact of what John said about Trey. Again, it's what John said about Brock. You know, and like for him to be that gregarious about how he feels about Brock, he has the locker room. How do you know that?
How do you know that? Yeah.
How do you know he has the locker room? And why are you saying that publicly? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it was a blind spot. It didn't look good.
It was interesting. Tyler says, Coach, I feel this organization and their quarterback situation is continuing problem. It's like a can of worms that constantly gets worse every single day. I don't think we are ever going to fix it. Their quarterback situation.
Well, I think that when you have Joe Montana and Steve Young who come through our organization, I mean, I feel like there's a little bit of hubris and a little bit of entitlement to what we think we could do with the quarterback position. But I honestly think that that's kind of like quite the opposite. We're just not respecting the position. Like, we got to get a guy in there who's really going to do what he needs to do. And the fact that we're just not making Trey compete against Sam Darnold is like, how do you
Let's finish up this Brock Purdy topic real quick, though. One thing I feel like, so we say he's going to come week 8. He's going to come back week 8. I just feel like whenever he plays, he's not going to be what he was like last year. I think he's going to be inferior. And I think the best case scenario for the Niners is he doesn't play at all this year. He does not play at all. You want to give him an entire year to recover and give him an entire offseason to prepare for the next season. That's, I think, best case scenario. And they can do that if one of Trey or Sam Darnold has the offense humming like Brock Purdy did last year. I don't know if either one of them can do it, but that's best case scenario for the 49ers is that Brock doesn't play this year. Because if he does, man, what's it going to look like? His stock could plummet. No offseason. You know, what's the timing going to look like? What's the confidence going to be? So
that's why I feel
if he gets hurt again, geez.
Sorry for cutting you off.
You could ruin it.
That's what makes me fearful for Brock, because it's like, as much as they want you, you do understand that the moment you're not giving them what you want.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
If he goes back on the field and looks like he's like Peter Pan without his powers, all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, you know what?
Yeah. And then the buzzwords will start coming in. Well, he was a 7th round pick. He's a young guy.
Yeah.
You know,
league caught up to him.
All of that.
Hey, it was a serious injury. A serious injury.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that right now, I hate to say this, but it's almost kind of like the Niners are like the man. Like, they cannot be trusted. It's like, you guys want that ring, and you don't care what career gets destroyed because of it.
Kaliki Carroll says, love how Niners brass thinks Brock's going to come back like he didn't have an injury. There's a chance he regresses like Nick Mullins. Quincy Avery said Trey's a special quarterback. Avery coached up Jalen. Again, what I'm trying to say here with this show is that Lynch did that. Kyle didn't. Lynch said Brock's coming back. He's the leader. Kyle said the first thing out of his mouth, if he weren't hurt. It'd be real easy if he weren't hurt. That's the way it is. Mad Trucker says Kyle planned Trey gained confidence in his skill, comp with Sam, look good in preseason, start 3-4 regular season games compared to Purdy's 8 games. We're going to talk about the plan for Trey next. Impulsive says, can you speak on the new rule that says handoffs must be next to or behind the quarterback? It could drastically change some offensive schemes if not clarified. I haven't heard that.
I haven't heard that at all.
Next to or behind the quarterback.
And they're saying they can't do that?
Handling next to or behind the quarterback? So you can't do like
next to or about. Oh, so they must not. Oh, so maybe, you know how they hide the ball they
Yeah.
hide the ball on play action, and they turn their back to the defense. Maybe you can't.
Yeah.
Maybe you can't turn your back or hide your ball to the defense.
No, but I think you can't hand off in front of you, so you can't like do like the little jet sweep stuff. Is that what they're saying? Like the little pop pass? I don't know.
I'm gonna look that up today.